TV9 News at 10 starts now.
And this was the scene earlier this evening near a community called Pleasantville. This rope-like tornado kicked up debris in farm fields in Marion County between Indianola and Pella. The Marion County Sheriff's Office telling KCRG-TV there are reports of property damage to some houses south of Pleasantville, with downed power lines also being reported tonight. And we here in eastern Iowa also seeing some storms tonight. The second round, really, of today's storms.
And while so many people are sleeping overnight, there could be even more. That's where we're starting right away in the weather lab with Chief Meteorologist Joe Winters on our first alert forecast. What can we expect late tonight?
Yeah, the threat is not done. There still are more to move through. It does look like it has transitioned, though, to primarily a large hail event, which is good news for us in the sense of the tornadic threat is lessened a bit. Now, we'll give you that. Let's take a look at what we have outside right now. And you certainly have some storms moving through, we can see, and there are a couple of warnings we'll get to. Areas of showers and storms stretch from Decorah all the way back down just to the west of Des Moines, and they're moving off to the east and northeast right around 40 miles per hour. Current warning that we do have an effect in the TV9 viewing area down across areas of northern Delaware County and then extending into Clayton County. We do have a severe thunderstorm warning that is in effect. That will be in effect for 1 3/4 inch hail. That's about the size of a golf ball. It'll be in effect across areas of Clayton County, and that's going to be with us until 10:30. So again, not wind with this, but it's the hail that's possible as that storm moves near Ocator, Farmersburg, toward Guttenberg, and finally heads off across the Mississippi Valley as it heads toward the north. Now, severe thunderstorm watch has replaced the tornado watch. So northern Iowa, Highway 20 and north, tornado watch until 1 a.m. South of Highway 20, tornado or severe thunderstorm watch, I should say, until 4 a.m. Primary threat now is large hail. There could be damaging winds along with this. Again, an isolated storm, never out of the question to produce a tornado in a severe thunderstorm, but it does look like large hail and some isolated damaging wind possible as those storms move through. That's what it looks like right now live from our Dubuque City cam. You do see some lightning in the distance. These storms have put on quite a light show. Where the warm front is located and has moved through, Washington at 70 degrees, Iowa City at 64, Cedar Rapids 62, Dubuque still sitting at 58 degrees. Our forecast overnight tonight continues to call for scattered showers and storms, and some certainly could contain some of that large hail. Look for overnight lows in the 40s and 50s depending on where that front is positioned. We'll take a little more timing on Pinpoint Futurecast and see what tomorrow brings as this storm passes in a little while.
Well, as we were saying, the storm came in more than one wave, including one earlier in the morning. It left sizable hail in Marion and other parts of eastern Iowa. Golf ball size and even larger hail seen in Davenport, as you can see right here. Wind gusts of 90 miles per hour were reported at the Quad City Airport.
This morning, storms caused damage in other parts of the Quad Cities. This is video from Rock Island earlier today. You can see trees, some power lines were down in that area. Now, the roof of a restaurant in Mollie was also torn off. Just to the east of there in Kelowna, now that's Kelowna with a C, the National Weather Service says an EF2 tornado caused heavy damage to this building, which housed a gas station and a restaurant. It tore the roof off and blew it into another building. 2 people were able to take cover inside the gas station before the front wall collapsed, and officials say nobody was hurt.
It is the same storm system, but a very different storm in the Dakotas. This is video from southeastern North Dakota, where a blizzard warning, get this, is in effect until Thursday morning. In Fargo, about 9 inches of snow is being whipped around by wind gusts of about 40 miles per hour. The snow expected to continue falling until tomorrow night there. As some areas do face storms tonight, other parts of eastern Iowa still cleaning up from last Friday's severe weather outbreak. And KCRG-TV9's Schrad joins us now in the studio. Iowa Valley Habitat for Humanity also got hard hit by this storm.
Yeah, Jim, this is what's left of more than a 5,000-foot warehouse used as storage for Iowa Valley Habitat for Humanity after storms ripped through Johnson County on Friday.
This warehouse meant a lot to us and it was important to us.
The warehouse stored things like tools, supplies, safety equipment, everything the organization uses to help build affordable housing for those who need it. Leaders with the organization say the space also doubles as a place for volunteers to build during the winter months. Now, while the building is a total loss, Executive Director Scott House says they've started on the recovery process.
Initially, it was really a gut punch, and we didn't really know what to do and how to respond. And then we just got to work. We called on our volunteers, we called on members of the community, and we just started digging out.
He says they're now focused on rebuilding and getting back to their mission and staying strong for the rest of the storm season.
There's definitely a sense of urgency. We know that this is April in Iowa and there's a chance for more severe weather soon. So we definitely want to get this taken care of and buttoned up before we have to deal with another issue.
He adds they don't know the damage estimate yet, but they've set up a fundraising campaign to help with those costs. He says he's also thankful for the community's help so far. They're also looking for volunteers to help with cleanup this Saturday, April 8th. A link for the fundraiser and to sign up to help with cleanup are inside this story on KCRG.com. In the studio, Emily Schrad, KCRG-TV9 News.
Emily, thank you. And you can keep tabs on any storm chances with the First Alert weather app. It's available for free on both iPhone and Android devices.
Charging a former president of the United States for the first time in history on a basis that every single pundit and legal analyst said there is no case. There's no case.
Tonight, we're hearing from former President Donald Trump after he made a historic court appearance today, facing criminal charges in New York. He was arraigned today in court on more than 30 charges of fraud. Investigators also revealed more details on those charges, saying nobody is above the law.
Melissa Adan is in West Palm Beach, where the former president spoke earlier tonight, reacting to today's court proceedings.
An unprecedented day in American history has concluded as former President Donald Trump, who is once again seeking to become commander-in-chief, currently has a new title: criminal defendant. Inside Mar-a-Lago, Trump addressing the arraignment in New York State Supreme Court.
I never thought anything like this could happen in America. Never thought it could happen.
The former president pleading not guilty to 34 state felony charges that he repeatedly and fraudulently falsified New York business records to conceal criminal conduct that hid damaging information from the voting public during the 2016 presidential election. Trump reacting to those charges.
The only crime that I have committed is to fearlessly defend our nation from those who seek to destroy it.
He traveled back to Florida immediately after his court appearance, greeted by some supporters on his return. Prosecutors allege Trump orchestrated a criminal scheme with his former lawyer and fixer Michael Cohen and his friend, former National Enquirer publisher David Pecker, to pay hush money to at least 3 people, including porn actress Stormy Daniels.
A catch and kill scheme. That is a scheme to buy and suppress negative information to help Mr. Trump's chance of winning the election.
The former president's lawyers insisting this is a political persecution.
While everyone is not above the law, no one's below it either. And if this man's name was not Donald J. Trump, there is no scenario we'd all be here today. Please understand that based on these charges.
The next court date is set for December 4th, with the trial expected to begin in January, meaning that will go through the election year. Melissa Adan, ABC News, West Palm Beach.
And several Iowa Republican lawmakers released statements on the former president's arraignment. Representative Ashley Hinson wrote on Twitter saying, regardless of your political party, this is a scary day in our country. It's an abuse of the judicial system to go after a political opponent. Representative Marionette Miller-Meeks wrote on Twitter, this attack on a former president is proof our legal system is filled with bad actors pursuing political wins over legal wins. Police in Ankeny are searching for a man who they say broke into an apartment Saturday night and stayed for 30 minutes.
The intruder was caught on video entering the apartment barefoot and staying for like a half an hour. So let's take a look. Here he is coming into the apartment, walking around. That's their kitchen table. And at one point he writes something on the papers there. The homeowners later said it didn't make any sense. And then he takes a sip of something on the counter. Then he sees a woman sleeping there on the couch. He hovers for several minutes, and at one point, look at that, just inches away from her.
That is creepy.
This all took place about 3:30 in the morning. Family says that woman woke up and he left.
We're just trying to figure out who that person is, and we recommend that everyone, in town, not just that area, at night lock your doors.
Family says the intruder also gathered up all of their shoes and left them near a couch.
Well, he supposedly entered barefoot and then took socks,
and put them on.
Thanks. How do you top that? They are called forever chemicals, and they are finding their way into our drinking water.
Dubuque is one community that has seen those elevated levels. We look at what the city is doing now to make sure its drinking water is safer.
And it was a heated debate in the State House today as lawmakers break down the new education bill. But they also placed blame on Linmar schools for that bill.
We still have the threat for some severe weather as we head into the overnight hours across portions of eastern Iowa. As we can see, that line of storms still pushing through the area. We'll watch that move out in quieter weather as we approach Easter weekend. We'll sort it all out. Keep it here on your trusted local news source, KCRG-TV9.
Your trusted local news source with Beth Malicki, Jim Mertens, Chief Meteorologist Joe Winters, and Scott Sable with sports. You're watching KCRG-TV9 News at 10.
KCRG-TV9 weather is sponsored by Blaine's Farm and Fleet.
The EPA is taking steps to ensure so-called forever chemicals are not in public drinking water. Last month, the EPA proposed regulations that would limit PFAS levels in drinking water to not exceed 4 parts per trillion.
It's been an issue a number of cities have faced, including Dubuque and Central City. And KCRG-TV9's Brian Tabick spoke to members of the Dubuque City Water Department about what it is doing to keep those levels down.
Jim, Beth, Dubuque volunteered to be a part of the Iowa Department of Natural Resources PFAS program and to track forever chemicals on a monthly basis. Last year, the city tested above the EPA's proposed PFAS levels. Now they're working to get those numbers down, and it may cost $15 million to do so. The city of Dubuque is researching to determine how it can prevent PFAS from getting into drinking water. The process to mitigate these forever chemicals could cost $15 million.
It's been a weekly, if not a daily, conversation at work here.
For Christopher Lester, the Dubuque Water Department manager, it's an issue he's been working on since last summer, when the city of Dubuque tested at 4.6 parts per trillion, higher than the EPA's recent proposal. PFAS are man-made chemicals used to make products stain-resistant or waterproof, and they're increasingly showing up in drinking water.
We essentially utilize our current deep wells, which have tested with no PFAS detects at this time, and we just use the shallow wells basically to meet the demand.
Since making this change to avoid the city's shallow wells, Lester says PFAS levels have dropped within the EPA's proposed regulations. However, he's looking at doing even more.
We're looking at is granular activated carbon for removal of PFAS. That's another solution.
Yeah, these run 24/7, 365.
Lester says that would work similarly to a coffee filter when it comes to cleaning the water. Dubuque continues to work with consultants in Madison, Wisconsin to find the source of the forever chemicals and work to get them out of drinking water.
We jumped in this program voluntarily with the DNR. It was something that we wanted to find out so we could be transparent with the citizens.
Lester says the city is trying to get grants and will apply for federal funding to try and help pay for those projects. In the studio, Brian Tabick, KCRG-TV9 News.
All right, thank you, Brian. By the way, today the Environmental Protection Agency announced a $6.5 billion in funding for drinking water upgrades. Nearly half of that will be used to identify and replace lead pipes. An EPA study found there are more than 9 million lead service lines across the country. The Biden administration's goal is to make all American water systems lead-free.
If you're in the Linmar School District, your parental rights were stripped last April. You were basically told, we have to do this because we can't trust you to be able to care for your child, so we're going to insert ourselves as the government, which is what that school district, that school board is.
Iowa House Republican lawmakers placed blame directly on Linmar today as they debated a parental rights bill. Now, the bill is a slightly different version of the governor's education reform bill. It aims to give parents more say in what their children learn at school. And when talking about why the bill is necessary, Republicans cited Linmar's transgender policy, which the district has since suspended. The district approved a policy last year that would let students request a gender support plan without parental permission. Today, the State House passed an amended version of the bill on a 55-42 vote. It would ban teaching gender identity and sexual orientation up to 6th grade. The legislation also would let students transfer to another school within the district if there's proof they're being bullied or harassed. It would ban any books containing graphic depictions of sex and would make teaching about HPV and AIDS optional. Democrats call the bill harmful and unnecessary.
I will say again, for the record, that libraries are voluntary inquiry and no one is required to read anything. And all school districts have processes in place to reconsider books.
Republicans say the bill makes simple rules saying that parents should know what their children are learning about in the classroom. They also say Democrats are taking the bill's language on sexually explicit materials out of context.
To Kill a Mockingbird does not fall under that. The Statue of David does not fall under that. Representative Levin, you basically alluded to members of the LGBT community are going to be cut out if we take this language up. I would argue that the only books that are qualified for the member of the LGBT community describe sex acts. We have some serious problems there.
This version of the bill now goes to the Senate, and if the senators pass it without making changes, it'll go to the governor's desk for her signature. Governor Reynolds did sign a bill into law today that reorganizes state government. It reduces the number of state agencies from 37 to 16. The governor says the measure makes government more efficient and saves the state millions of dollars. But critics say it will give the governor too much power and take some services away from Iowans.
Now, your first alert forecast with Chief Meteorologist Joe Winters.
Thankfully, today we did not see a tornado outbreak like we saw on Friday. Now, we still have that damaging wind and hail threat, and hail really has been the thing we've seen across eastern Iowa. Take a look at some of the pictures. This is from Walker. Crystal sent that in. You can see some of those hailstones there, differing in shape. Then we get some people that use size indicators, and we love this. When you send in a hail picture, there's a quarter, so we can see this is a little bigger than a quarter. That comes in from Urbana and Tracy. How about an Oreo cookie? That's another thing you can make and see. Yep, that hailstone bigger than that Oreo cookie. That comes in from Quasqueton, from Cary. Not to be outdone, we have baseballs, and you can tell large hail in the Quasqueton area. Again, damage when you get that hail that big. That, again, a baseball, and it's the Easter season, so why not? Let's use an Easter egg and compare it again. Some egg-size hail also up in Quasqueton from Abby. Thanks for sending those in. Hopefully, you didn't suffer a lot of damage with that large hail that was out there. Still do have a severe thunderstorm watch that continues. Highway 20 in north, it's until 1 a.m. Highway 20 then in south, it's until 4 a.m. Large hail is our primary threat left, as well as damaging winds. Now, we can never rule out an isolated chance that a tornado could spin up along that, but they would be short-lived and not long-lasting. As far as the storms, they will continue into the overnight, early morning hours. As you saw after that, we quiet from the storms, but we still see some gusty winds tomorrow. I think those winds, and that's why they're highlighted, could gust up to about 40 and 45 at times. Here's what it looks like on live pinpoint Doppler radar. The warning that was out for areas of Clayton County now has been canceled, as we can see, as those storms move out. So that's some good news. We widen the picture out, and you do see that line of showers and storms from Decorah all the way back down now west of Des Moines. Once this pushes through, I think that will end our threat for any severe weather that moves in. Again, moving through the northern part of the state first and southern Iowa later. As it does move through, we'll have to watch to see what it does down south. Still a little bit more unstable air down there because of that warm front moving through, as you saw Washington seeing temperatures well in the 70s. It's a cold front that's moving in. There's the blizzard you mentioned back across the northern plains. This whole system moves out, and we do see some cooler weather moving in for our Wednesday. Tonight, some showers and storms still with us. 40s to near 50 degrees for our overnight low, and then tomorrow the high is really established early and then steady to slowly falling temperatures with partly cloudy and windy conditions, west winds at 20 to 30. There's that line of storms on Pinpoint Futurecast moving through. You can see by midnight a lot of that activity really starting to move out, and certainly by about 3 o'clock in the morning most of that activity is gone. It does stay dry tomorrow, but as we said, it does remain rather windy. Those wind gusts greater than 40 possible with a high of 53, 54 degrees on Thursday, 63 degrees on Friday, and we'll continue to warm it up as we head into the upcoming weekend. We're looking for a high of 67 degrees Saturday. Easter Sunday, maybe a shower, high of 70 degrees. Next week, could see our first 80-degree temperature of the year. It looks mild for mid parts of April.
I mean, think of all the Easters where you're just covered in gloves and mittens and hats. And
yeah, and the Colonel's open next Tuesday. It looks right now spectacular weather.
Joe, thank you.
An advocate for people who live in nursing homes told KCRG there's a need for more volunteers to help protect them. Well, tonight we hear what happened after that word went out. Stay with your trusted local news source, KCRG-TV 9.
The KCRG TV9 First Alert Mobile Weather Lab is sponsored by Imon Communications. Congratulations to the Iowa women's basketball team on a phenomenal year. From buzzer beaters to Caitlin Clark winning the Naismith College Player of the Year award.
I'm just very lucky and honored and thankful more than anything.
And KCRG TV9 was there for every pass, dribble, and shot this season as the Iowa women's basketball team made history. Congratulations to the Iowa women's basketball team from your trusted local news source, KCRG TV9.
We have an update to a story we brought you earlier this year. A volunteer who advocates for people living in nursing homes said that Iowa needs more like him, more volunteers and even family members to just check in on people in nursing homes.
And when we shared this message, viewers answered the call. KCRG TV9's Mollie Swayne is in the studio with just what has changed.
It's viewers answering the call. There are 9 employees who work on the local level and until recently 50 volunteers who monitor the care of hundreds of people in nursing homes and care facilities in Iowa. After our story aired, more volunteers stepped up, but Iowa's nursing homes can use even more.
I wish there were 10 more of our staff.
Pam Railsback is in charge of advocating for all nursing home and care facility residents in Benton, Lynn, Iowa, Johnson, and Washington counties.
Ideally, the standard for staffing is 1 ombudsman for every 200 residents, and I think right now we have in Iowa 1 ombudsman for every 700 residents.
Ombudsmen like Railsback protect the welfare and the rights of people living in these facilities. She and her counterparts have help from volunteers. Until recently, there were 50 in the entire state of Iowa.
From the last news article that you did, I know we got 5 reach outs and 2 of them are almost through the training program, so that's pretty exciting.
5 new volunteers is just a handful, but it's also a 10% increase for a program that's stretched and grateful for all the help that comes their way.
Our territories are huge. It's hard for us to be everywhere, so really having that volunteer program and people available to be assigned, it's great to have people to support the residents.
Volunteers are assigned to a specific care facility. The minimum commitment to be a volunteer is 3 hours a month. I'll put more information on how to sign up on our website under this story. In the studio, Mollie Swayne, KCRG TV9 News.
And hopefully they get more help. Well, her season may be over, but Caitlin Clark is still getting trophies for her performance on the court this year. Today, it was announced that she'd won the John Wooden Award. The Wooden Award is given out by the Los Angeles Athletic Club to the best player in both men's and women's college basketball. Clark beat out other players like Aaliyah Boston of South Carolina and Indiana's Mackenzie Holmes for the award. She will be presented the award in Los Angeles Friday. This is the first time that a player from the Iowa women's basketball team has won the award, and only the second time ever when a Hawkeye has won it.
The Iowa Hawkeyes say they will not travel to the White House following Sunday's NCAA championship game. Despite Iowa's loss, First Lady Joe Biden said she would love to have LSU and Iowa visit the White House. Well, today, head coach Lisa Bluder tweeted saying she's grateful for the invite, but that the honor belongs to LSU and their coach. Bluder does say she'd love to have the president and First Lady to come to Iowa's house, Hawkeye Carver Arena. Well, we will have a final check of your First Alert forecast coming up next.
Stay with KCRG TV9.
KCRG TV9 Sports is sponsored by Cedar Rapids Toyota.
Come out to Union Station every Monday night from 6:30 to 7:30 for On Iowa Live. We always have great guests from high school, college, and pros. We'll have a few laughs and hear straight from local coaches and players on everything sports. Join our live audience every Monday at 6:30 from Union Station or watch live on KCRG 9.2.
On Iowa Live, Monday at 6:30 on KCRG 9.2. Mother Nature is unavoidable, but you can prepare for it with KCRG TV9's First Alert Storm Team. First Alert. It's not just who we are, it's a promise to keep you informed before, during, and after a storm. Your KCRG TV9 First Alert Storm Team. Only on KCRG TV9.com.
A new severe thunderstorm warning has just been issued. This goes until 11:15. It does include portions of Benton as well as Buchanan, Delaware, and Lynn counties. This is again for some hail that is upwards of about 1 inch in diameter. Also some 60-mile-an-hour winds. We'll watch to see if any rotation develops along that storm as well. Does not include the city of Cedar Rapids. We do have that line of storms continuing, as we can see, moving across eastern Iowa. There could be additional warnings certainly as those storms move in, because down to the south we've got that warm air, so we'll keep it in mind. We'll be in the Weather Lab and update you as the weather warrants throughout the nighttime hours.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us tonight at 10.
And I'll see you tomorrow.